Hello, good evening. Welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live more news up here at Desawe Kanda. Also live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Coming up this evening, 3 teacher unions pile pressure on government to pay outstanding allowances due teachers or risk industrial unrest. Stay with us. We have the latest from the teachers' quarters.
Former Rector Gimpa and former board chairman of the Ghana Revenue Authority has been dragged to the Economic and Organized Crime Office.
And that is the latest coming through as well on this particular issue, as the former rector of the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, and also for the former director of the Bank of Ghana Institute, that's also indicated situations related to what is happening now. That's Professor Stephen Adai has been dragged before the Economic and Organized Crime Office to substantiate allegations of corruption at the Ministry of Roads and Highways. If you recall, in an interview sometime last week with us here at 3FM and TV3, he did indicate that some government officials are demanding 1 million cedis from contractors who are owed by government before they are paid. The money is owed them. That's the details we're having shortly, is that IOCO has stepped into this matter. Stay with us. We'll give you the update on it shortly here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're not taking our eyes off the ball when it comes to the impact of the floods as a result of the Akonsombo and Kpong Dam spillage, because snake bites dominate reports at peripheral clinics by displaced persons. That's what we're hearing now, that a number of them are reporting to the various health facilities with snake bites. Very worrying development there. We'll give you an update on that. We'll give you the latest in business, sports, and entertainment coming up over the next 60 minutes here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Stay with us. Let's get into the details now, as news just coming through that former rector of the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA, and also former board member of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Professor Stephen Adai, has been dragged before the Economic and Organized Crime Office, IOCO, to substantiate allegations of corruption at the Ministry of Roads and Highways. The office has received a petition from the Minister of Roads and Highways to conduct a probe regarding the allegations. Here's a report put together by my colleague, Duke Mensopoko.
Former Rector Gimpa and former board chairman of the Ghana Revenue Authority has been dragged to the Economic and Organized Crime Office, IOCO. Why is that? Well, the Minister for Roads and Transport has petitioned that organization, essentially seeking a probe into allegations, scandalous allegations involving the alleged payment of 1 million Ghana cedis by persons seeking road contracts in the company. Professor Stephen Adai made these allegations in an interview on TV3, and this is what the roads minister is taking him to task on. He has petitioned IOCO, asking for them to probe these allegations, and possibly if there is an organized crime syndicate or gang at this ministry doling out contracts, issuing out contracts at the sum of 1 million Ghana cedis. All of that should be uncovered. It is possible that Professor Stephen Adai will be invited to IOCO to provide evidence or substantiate these allegations to the effect that indeed there are persons within the ministry doling out contracts and taking 1 million Ghana cedis in return. It's an interesting story. We'll keep a tab on it and trust TV3 to bring you everything.
So that's Duke Mensopoko putting together this report, but let's stay a bit further on this. And Adam Senano is a co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption, is joining us on the telephone. Senano, thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition. And this particular statement by Professor Stephen Adai has been captured on a number of platforms earlier today. Now, what's your own reading of the IOCO's intervention in this matter, or the decision by the Ministry of Roads and Highways to, as it were, have IOCO conduct a probe into this allegation?
Well, I mean, I think it's good when ministers and ministries are responsive. I think it would have been useful if the first engagement was with the professor himself. The minister should just have called the professor up, asked for details, and then based on that, if you got him to say, yes, I would be willing to go to Yoko to further provide details, it would show that the responsiveness is sincere and it is about promoting the public good. If the professor wasn't engaged and you go and report him to Yoko and say Yoko should hold him up, it might send a different signal. It's almost as if you are about to allege anything, make sure you have all the evidence. And it looks like these days the professors are all being told that you don't have proper evidence, so you should be cautious. I think that the signaling should be much better. I believe they should have engaged Professor Adair. He's a very serious-minded gentleman. I'm quite sure he would not be saying this if he did not have the relevant information. And I'm quite certain that having said it publicly, he'll be ready to go anywhere and speak to it.
In fact, this is not the first time he's made comments of this nature about bribes in the public sector. I recall sometime in July 2022, he made similar comments as well. Now, what would be your expectation of Yoko's invitation into this matter? What should they be looking out for? Is it just about talking to Professor Stephen Adair?
No, and I think that's the risk we run. I mean, if you remember, recently we had the AG's comment on Professor Frimpong Boateng's report, which suggested that he didn't have evidence there. But we don't expect our investigative bodies to be telling people who come and report that what you reported didn't have evidence. We expect that all the names and events there are thoroughly, absolutely thoroughly investigated. And once you are giving us a report, mention them. I list them that for this this name and this issue, this is what we investigated, this is what we found, So I don't think they should just hang on to what Professor Adair has said now. He says it's a particular ministry and their issues. Pick the Auditor General's report. Go in there. Let Ghanaians know that we are serious about this fight. Don't make it a tokenistic. You come and just say something doesn't have evidence or, because then the rest of us are wondering, is it that we don't read, we don't see that there are other names associated, there are other issues, there are other reports? We should have a much bigger long-term view on these issues with robust and swift, actions that make all Ghanaians begin to believe that we are taking this fight against corruption seriously.
And it's interesting that you make reference to this case involving Professor Frimpong Boateng. And so if you have the AG taking that position on the advice that he gave to the CID or the Ghana Police Service, what's the probability that this is not going to repeat itself in this case with Professor Stephen Adair? Because he is making the allegation, and with what we saw in Professor Frimpong Boateng case, he was called upon provide evidence for what you are alleging, and the police now comes to say, you know what, AG says there isn't enough evidence, so these persons who are alleged to have been involved in illegal mining should be left off the hook. So if we're going to have something different or a different approach, especially because another state institution took this position in the previous case, what's the probability that this is not going to repeat itself in the case of Yoko?
Well, using the Frimpong Boateng instance as a benchmark, obviously doesn't augur well for this country. It wouldn't give us the confidence that we're going to get a better result. And so obviously they will have to go beyond that. I mean, in that instance, there are several other things that had come up apart from the Gabi, Ocheda-Kuns and the rest, and their companies and issues that no reference was made to eventually, and leaves all of us perplexed as to are we serious or we are not. And again, I mean, what Professor Adair said is not something that he has said anything particularly new or unique. And to that extent, we're expecting that if he's given a certain direction, if they're going to do an investigation, it got to be thorough, go beyond what the prof himself has said, pick up any other evidence and information you can, and come back and assure Ghanaians that, look, every space where we see these things happening, we are going to clamp down. We'll find people who are culpable, hold them accountable, make sure they are sanctioned, set the right precedent, and make it high risk for anyone to want to continue this way in robbing the past and cheating Ghanaians of the development that we deserve.
I do appreciate your time as always. Zeno, thank you so much.
And thank you too for having me.
Adam Zeno is the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. Now, we have a statement from the Minister of Roads and Highways on this matter. It just came through. The heading, allegations of organized crime in the award of road contracts. This is a statement just coming through from Minister of Roads and Highways, and it reads, the attention of the Minister of Roads and Highways has been drawn to a video clip in circulation on social media in which Professor Stephen Adai makes some allegations of corruption in the public sector concerning the award of road contracts. The allegation was made by Professor Stephen Adai, a former rector of GIMPA, in an interview with TV3, a private television station in Ghana. In the said interview, first aired on Friday, 20th October 2023, Professor Adai alleges that he has information to the effect that persons seeking road contracts are told, quote, road contracts will be given to you provided you pay 1 million upfront, unquote. These allegations are surprising at the least because the processes leading to the award of road contracts are open, transparent, competitive, and in accordance with the law. Given that the alleged conduct borders on the Commission of Crime Against the Republic, the Ministry of Roads and Highways, and also its Minister, Honorable Kwesi Amoako-Atta, has today, 23rd of October 2023, requested the Executive Director of the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, to fully investigate the allegations. The ministry wishes to assure the public that it shall cooperate fully and support EOCO in the conduct of its investigations. This is the statement signed by Nasir Ahmad Yate, who's the head of public relations at the Ministry of Roads and Highways on this matter. The statement just came through, and this is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Now, let's hear exactly what Professor Stephen Adai said in that interview, exclusively on 3FM and also on TV3.
This road contract will be given to you, provided you put 1 million upfront, not that when you get your money. Then, and this is what Akufo-Addo must be thinking about, and if he knows about it, must be ashamed of. That now his people demand from you a certain amount before you be considered for the job. Why? Because then when they get it, whether the government pays you or not, they have gotten their money. As if people are in a hurry to loot the country before the end of Akufo-Addo's term. One of the greatest disappointment of Nana Akufo-Addo's regime is that, honestly, he raised the hope of Ghanaians. Ghanaians expected that we had gotten the leader with a vision, with the charisma, with the determination. And it seems if he doesn't redeem himself in the next 14 months, he will go down in history of one of the most disappointing leaders. And what? The corruption, the arrogance, the thing that there is, Ghana is for them, and that, without them, Ghana would not be there. Even some of them thinking that they should tell us who should be our next president. God forbid. The nurses and the teachers who constituted about 75% of public service will go for loans. And because they were public servants, it was assured. Now they are run away and they can't pay. Have to chase them to London, to America, and that. So the small banks, I know one which has about 7 million Ghana cedis they are chasing, they have to write off.
That's Professor Stephen Adai there. You're still live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. But the Bono regional chapters of the 3 teacher unions in the country, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, and the Coalition of Concerned Teachers, CCT, are urging government to honor its obligation of paying outstanding allowances that were approved in their 2020 collective agreement The Bono Regional Chair of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Thomas Armstrong Asante, who raised the issue at a news conference earlier today, said they have 9 categories of outstanding allowances, including rent allowance, electricity subsidy, and risk allowance, which remain outstanding.
We, the NAT, wish to bring to the notice of the government, and for that matter, the general public, that the said collective agreement for the teaching staff within the Ghana Education Service document has run its 3-year term and in effect expired, with the employer not negotiated a new collective agreement with the teacher unions at this point in time, while many of the issues on which the January 2020 document was negotiated still stand unresolved. We have in mind such issues as allowance for teachers in underserved areas, entertainment allowance, housing or rent allowance, car maintenance allowance, fuel allowance, electricity subsidy, a new scheme of service, clothing allowance, rates allowance, among others.
Well, he warns there will be consequences should government fail to address their concerns. They also want the national leadership to back their call.
We, the NAT, are by this press release calling on the employer to call us to the table to negotiate a new collective agreement for the teaching staff within the Ghana Education Service with the required agency to enable us see our way forward, while immediate steps should be taken to resolve all issues outstanding. We hereby serve notice that failure by the employer to heed our call and expectations will have the employer having itself to blame. We have had a very tranquil industrial environment, and we do not want to rock it. We equally want to tell our leaders in a very clear language that we will hold them responsible if they do not live up to our expectation, and have a new collective agreement which should take account of the current hardship facing the teaching staff within the Ghana Education Service, negotiated and resolved soonest.
Well, an agitated teacher, Ambrose John Yeboah, says teachers have been hit hard by the present high cost of living, and they are also ready to ensure that they are giving their due.
You know that prices of commodities have actually shot up. Rents, electricity, and then transportation, water, everything has gone up. And as it stands now, most of us are running away for greener pastures outside. But those of us who are sacrificing to work for the country, we must make sure that we get what is due us.
That's an agitated teacher, the Ambrose John Yeboah. So live here on Hot Tradition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. The former NPP flag bearer aspirant, and in fact, he is also much more known to be the former head of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining and the former Minister of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Professor Kwabena Frimpong-Boateng, says it will be more difficult for the governing party to retain power if Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia becomes the flag bearer. Now, the former minister holds the view previous pronouncement made by the Vice President makes his electoral fortunes challenging. He also believes that the playing field is not level for all aspirants, as the system has been whipped in line to back the candidacy of the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. He said this in an interview with my colleague Kemeni Amano on hot issues.
Delegates of the New Patriotic Party will next month vote to determine who leads it into the 2024 polls, with analysts tipping the vice president as a favorite. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will come up against 3 others in the race. He topped the Super Delegates Conference and is considered as a front-runner, with Asin Central MP Kennedy Japan believed to be a key contender. Former flag-bearer aspirant Professor Frimpong Boateng holds the view that Dr. Bawumia's past pronouncements could be used against him.
If we are strong, then we leave him and to compete on a level playing field. But then if party people, government appointees, are more or less whipped in line to pull that line, it shows that he's weak and he needs, that kind of support. Lots of pronouncements that he made in the past. His enemies will have to pay those things back. And then we'll see. This is what I'm talking about.
The NPP points out will have it tough to win the December 2024 polls with the vice president as its flag bearer.
We had a strong political leader, a strong economic person together managing things. And things didn't go well. Now the strong political leader is leaving and only the other one will remain. So it's going to be more difficult.
Should the NPP be given another chance in government at this rate?
The NPP, but not in this present configuration.
Well, that's Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng there. Dennis Miracle Sabuaji is a member of the Dr. Bawumia for President campaign team, is joining us. Thank you, Zabuaji, for your time here on Hot Edition. So that's the position of Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, that the previous or past pronouncement of your preferred candidate is going to come back to haunt him if he's elected flag bearer, and that dims your chances of winning the upcoming elections.
Thank you, Alfred. So we disagree with Professor Frimpong Boateng completely. We hold the view that the analysis he's trying to make lacks a lot of merit politically and in so many other sense. But we're not very much surprised because in this internal contest, party people align differently to different candidates. And so their utterances would not be one that is in your favor once they do not support you. And Professor Frimpong Boateng is on record not to support the vice president in this particular contest. That notwithstanding, I think that there are a few flaws with this assertion. First of all, when we are going into an election, every party member in every political party tells the position of the party, in this case, the manifesto of the party. And so whatever utterances, whatever commentary that members of the party make are one that will be clarifying, explaining, or selling the manifesto of the party. And that's exactly what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and every other person that played a critical role in our past elections did. That notwithstanding, we in the New Patriotic Party across the country are the firm belief that every politician and every political party has utterances and comments that will be played back to you. Some you would have achieved, others you would not have been able to achieve. But that's the whole essence of leadership. Leadership is for you to have the vision, try to mobilize the resources, human resources, all other resources, to pursue that vision and have an objective to achieve it. If you are able to achieve all, kudos. If you are unable to achieve all, you would have to account for what you've been able to achieve. Give reasons and explanation as to why you are unable to achieve those that are outstanding, and then explain to the people how you intend to achieve the outstanding ones. And that's exactly what the New Patriotic Party and the Vice President intends to do going into election 2024. We're not saying that everything that we said as a party, which was trumpeted by the Vice President, the President, and all other party leaders who decided to commit themselves to the cause, have been achieved. But we have the view that a lot have been achieved if we should take it sector by sector. And the education, health, the general infrastructure, industry, agriculture. We believe that we've achieved a lot more than we expected. But we also acknowledge, and that acknowledgement has been done by everybody, every well-meaning party person and government official, that when it comes to the macro economy, we did so well in our first term between 2017 and 2020. But we encountered a challenge and a difficulty that has set us back, and we are working to recover, and we are working to bring the country back onto the right path. That does not in any way mean that any party member, for that matter, including the vice president, who led the party's campaign in 2016 and 2020, would not be able to campaign in 2024 because we have not been able to achieve some. And in this case, the macroeconomic indicators that we'll be talking about. We would go to the people of Ghana. We would let the people of Ghana know what it is that we said we're going to do. We'd explain to them what we've been able to do, and we'll genuinely admit the ones we've not been able to do, and give them a roadmap to how we are going to be able to achieve that. In terms of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia being a weak candidate or not, as mentioned by Professor Frimpong Boakye, I think he should be happy. Because in any case, in all his utterances in recent weeks, does not point to one that means well for his own party and government. And if I listen to the last part of his comment, he was quite clear that in his view, he doesn't even believe in the New Patriotic Party at this point. So he should be happy that a party that he no longer belongs in would have a weak candidate that in his view will not be able to win. But we disagree with him. We believe that the party people across the length and breadth of this country will take a decision as to who they would want to lead them. And that decision is not one that is going to be made by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia or Professor Frimpong Boakye. It is one that is going to be made by the masses, the general masses of this party who have the mandate for our constitution to take that decision. And whoever they settle on, they would have to come together and put their shoulders together and rally behind this leader to win the elections. And just as we have always done in the past, whoever emerges as a leader, in this case, most definitely the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the party people will rally behind him, put together our message to the people of Ghana, and we'll be able to win the next elections. So we disagree with Professor Frimpong Boakye, but we are not surprised. His recent utterances hasn't been any different from what he said in this particular time.
Well, he was very specific when he was asked a question whether he wants the NPP to win the next election. He says that the NPP in its current form does not and cannot win an election. And he gave reasons why. One that also points to the vice president he describes as a weak candidate.
The time he wanted to be president, and the time he presented himself in the flag bearership, he thought he was the best candidate. He thought every other person contesting against him was a weak candidate, and that without him we could not have won an election. But he lost, and we got a leader who won us an election. And so his views cannot be taken seriously in instances like this. The decision as to who leads our party and our chances in the next election does not lie in the mouth of Professor Frimpong Boakye. It lies in the hands of the thousands and hundreds and thousands of NPP people who are committed and dedicated to rallying behind the leader to win the next election. So when he makes such statements, it comes with no authority, because in an instance where he himself thought he was the only candidate that is strong enough to lead our party to win an election, and thought that every other person was weak, he lost. And when he lost and the party people selected who they believe would be their leader, we won the elections. And so that same way we are going to win the next elections, with who the party people believe should be their next leader. And the party people settle on Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And then I'm very confident and very sure that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is going to win the next election. Professor Frimpong Boakye in this conversation is not an authority. And so his words cannot be one that we can take seriously.
We'll see how the coming days will look like. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, Alfred. Thank you.
Dennis Miracle Sabuaje is a member of the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia campaign team there. But there's an issue that is not going away anytime soon. And that is what's happening in the Volta region especially, and 7 other regions that we've monitored quite closely that have been affected by the spillage of excess water, and then also the rising water levels in the red, black, and white Voltas. That's what's happening now, and the impact of the rising levels of the white Volta, the red Volta, and the black Volta. We are seeing the impact in the Oti region, the Bono East region. We are also monitoring the situation in the northern region, the Savannah region, as well as the western north region, and parts of the Greater Accra region as well, and then the eastern region, parts of the eastern region as well, has been hit by both the rising levels in the red Volta and then the excess spillage of water from the Akonsombo Dam. Aside being on the alert for cholera and diarrhea-related diseases and malaria, significant cases of snake bite is reportedly been reported, as we understand, by displaced persons at the peripheral and mobile clinics created by the Ghana Health Service. Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaji, who made this known in an exclusive interview with 3FM after visiting some affected areas earlier today, maintains the situation is under control, though there is a need for systems and structures to be strengthened. The Ghana Health Service says it's yet to record any outbreak of any disease, but there is a need for more logistics to be deployed to that area since the emergence of the grave effect of the spillage of the 2 dams in the Volta region. Concerns about the outbreak of diseases on displaced persons after contact with the contaminated water from the dam spillage remains rife. According to the Director General, the area is undergoing disinfection, while some areas are receiving medical screening exercise to ensure a more proactive and preventive service approach.
More logistics will be needed. We have come in to give them more additional mosquito nets, sanitizers for them to clean their house in the absence of water. We responded quite early. We've been bringing mosquito nets. We've been bringing them aqua taps to make sure the water is clean. We have created a situation where our bags that whether you are insured or not, whether you lost your insurance card or it's full care, we have put up makeshift clinics. We have expanded neighboring clinics. I'm just coming from Bapa. Even though they are all well, there's an urgent effort to just do a medical screening for them to ensure that they are all okay. I mean, those who are hypertensive, we give them medication in case they've left their medication behind or not even aware. We are not waiting for a situation where we call it imminent health danger. I believe that the systems are working and we'll continue strengthening it until such time that this whole crisis will be over. For now, we are not seeing anything significant apart from a few places where there were a few snake bites, which have been resolved. And we are not seeing anything that will say is in an epidemic proportion, that something that's out of ordinary because of the congestion and the possibility of contamination of water and the spreading of diseases. That's why we have brought them all these infection prevention systems. So I think the response is good. The ramifications go beyond the physicality, even mental stress of having to sleep on the veranda. We are working to make sure that we prevent malaria transmission by giving them mosquito nets. Yes, some of the places is quite difficult to hang the nets, but the region are coming up with innovative ways of getting string to be able to hang nets so that they can protect themselves. But those that is in greater 3 districts in Eastern and 3 districts in Greater Accra, they are the community. What has not affected directly move them out of their community, but we are disinfecting the community and the area they live, giving them opportunity to be able to wash their hands more often, advising them not to go near the water or walk through the water or take that type of water for you. So, and we believe that if we continue this way, we should be able to avert the catastrophe. We will need support, and not those who can support should also come and support.
That's the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaji. Already, more than 26,000 people in parts of the Volta, Eastern and Greater Accra regions have been displaced as a result of the spillage of the excess water from the Akonsombo and the Bong dams. Now, Dr. Senano Kwesi Jokoto is the Deputy Director of Health Services in the Volta region, is joining us. Dr. Jokoto, thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Thank you very much for having me. A very good evening to all your listeners.
Great. Now, what's the situation with respect to the kinds of illnesses being reported. The last time we spoke, that's on Saturday morning, you indicated that there's an increase in cases of hypertension and then also obviously malaria as well. Has the trend changed?
So far, the trend has remained the same. We take note of every case that is recorded within the enclave so that we can actually tell if there's any variance as compared to the baseline data that we have had. So we have respiratory tract infections. We have musculoskeletal pain or diseases related to musculoskeletal system. We also have malaria associated. We have some diarrheal diseases as well. We are recording non-communicable diseases. But what we have not also recorded is snake bites. We know that because these reptiles have also been displaced, we are on the lookout for some of these conditions. We prepared adequately for it. We have anti-snake venoms adequately stocked. What I can say is helping us thus far is the fact that we prepared early, we've mobilized the community positively. So for now, we can say that with the support of all the collaborators, we have a handle on the situation. We are just hoping that we get more support to continue to sustain it so that over the next 4 to 6 weeks, we don't see cases that beyond the usual that we record in any given population.
I see. Now, what we're learning now, which you just mentioned briefly, is the snake bites, where, according to the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, a number of persons, displaced persons, are reporting snake bites in especially the peripheral facilities that have been created and the mobile clinics as well. How widespread is this?
Yes, please. So I'm currently with the Director General. We are touring a number of facilities. The reptiles have also been displaced, and every now and then we pick up rumors of people who have suffered snake bites. For now, we don't think that we have figures beyond what would ordinarily be recorded as once of our people having snake bites. But like I mentioned, that for now, everybody is on the lookout. People are being very cautious. People are not unnecessarily walking in these infected waters, or are very careful when they are walking at night, because they know that these displaced reptiles are also around and they are at great risk to their health. So I'll say that, well, it's an issue that we are concerned about, really, but so far we have not faced any grave implications, no mortalities or morbidities from snake bites have been recorded.
I see. And then also, how about that fear or the concern of persons who have been displaced possibly having no choice than to consume the contaminated water in the area because of the lack of other alternatives for them? How real is this?
No, that goes without saying. That these are basic necessities of life: water, shelter, food. Once people don't have access to them, good or bad, they are definitely going to have to take in some. So we have reiterated that one of the pivots of this response is to ensure that people have good drinking water. And we are currently in Mesa now. I've seen a lot of support in that regard. We just received a briefing also from the EOC, which indicated that they are also synchronizing the distribution of all these resources so that as many people as possible will get it. And when they all get it, we are pretty sure that this risk will be significantly reduced.
So, what exactly do you need? I mean, in instances like this, with what's happening now, even though there's been a lot of support coming through as well, but what's the situation, at least on the ground?
We have deployed so many boots on the ground. People are actually working to ensure that things work. All these individuals require support. The health workers, Ghana Medical Association, Ghana Registered Nurse and Midwifery Association. We have the Psychologist Association. We have the Mental Health Authority. They are up to ensuring that they get good food, good drinking water to eat. Good drinking water and food. It's absolutely important. So support, cash for people to mobilize this is key. We still continue to talk about logistics. We are talking about aqua. These are taps that we drop in contaminated water that makes it safe to drink. It's important that we have more of that. We are looking for people that can help with logistics to mount mosquito nets in most of these safe havens, because that is one gap that we have also identified at this particular time. We are asking for hand sanitizers because in the midst of scarcity of water, it will be good to have hand sanitizer in between running water. We are looking for liquid soap, more of it, mosquito nets. We are distributing, but we are still seeing that much more people are exposed. We went to some of the communities today. Households that took 3 people are currently taking about 12 people. And we also need a good number of medications, antibiotics, so that that will complement the free service that the health service is rendering at this point. So I'll really say that this is even within health, but if you go outside health, people actually have lost their source of livelihood. You can meet people on the street who will tell you that they are hungry. They've not eaten anything all day. Their farms are gone. Their tilapia farms where they were working, source of livelihood, all gone. So they need support. So food items, very important. They need to keep alive to be able to prevent diseases from getting to them. So I'll continue to use the medium to appeal that anybody who is touched should continue to support. Like you said, it's a national cause, and we think that we need everybody on board.
Dr. Jogoto, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. God bless you.
Bless you too. Dr. Senanu Kwesi Jogoto is a Deputy Director of Health Services in the Volta region. This is Hot Edition. Michael Obodo is standing by with business.
Segment here on Hot Edition. My name is Michael Obodu. Well, straight into our first story now, and banks have been cautioned to check their risk appetite following rise in non-performing loans. According to the Bank of Ghana's highlights of banks' income statement as of August this year, banks wrote off 2.4 billion cedis as bad debt in the first 8 months of this year, representing a 36.4% increase over the previous year. Speaking to 3 Business, senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa, said the Credit Reference Bureau is not to blame for the situation.
The current credit references system just gives the banks information as to whether to do business with a client or not, and also to measure the probability that the client will default or not. That is what the referencing system currently supplies in terms of information. Now, we should know that it is not just about that score that influences the decision to lend or not. The banks themselves will also have their own risk appetite that will influence whether they should give the loan or not. So it is a combination of factors that influences the decision to give out the loan. We cannot blame the credit referencing agencies when it comes to increasing non-performing loans. The loans were created by the banks. The banks have a responsibility to assess the client. And if in the bank's estimation, the client is a good borrower and the banks extend the credit facility, you cannot go blaming the credit referencing bureau for not doing a good job.
That was Dr. Benjamin Amma, who is a senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. Now, the Ghana Revenue Authority has locked up offices of Soul Cement in Tema for defaulting in its tax compliance between 2019 to 2023. Speaking to the media, the Assistant Commissioner in charge of compliance, Joseph Annan, said the company owes the state more than 700 million cedis.
A liability that was established July of this year. An audit was conducted and the liability was established. Now we have over 700 million Ghana cedis that is owed by this company. They wrote for objection. They objected to the liability, but then the requirement for objection was not met. So the objection was rejected. They suffered a number of, we are talking about the 709 plus million Ghana cedis. Is a summary of different types of taxes, interest and penalties. They owe VAT, the levies, CIT, interest, and they even suffered penalty for misleading statements. All that totaling 709,686,828.35 Ghana cedis, pesos, sure. And all the internal processes have been exhausted. All the notices have been duly served. So we came here this afternoon under the instruction of the Commissioner for Domestic Tax Revenue Division. And for us, I always say that we are men under instructions. What we are taxed to do, we'll do it and do it well. So we have come, we have sealed off the place. If they are able to mobilize enough funds to settle the debt, we'll open for them. In the absence of that, when this continues for some time, it becomes a distress action where auctioning and all that will come in. But for now, we are looking at restraining order.
That was the head of Accra Central Enforcement Unit of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Assistant Commissioner Joseph Annan there. Now, away from that, the Petroleum Commission of Ghana has announced that local content and local participation in the country's petroleum sector has reached up to 80%. The Petroleum Local Content and Local Participation Regulations 2013 LI 2204 was passed to promote maximization of value addition and job creation through the use of local expertise, goods and services, businesses, and financing in the petroleum industry value chain and their retention in Ghana. CEO of the Commission, Egbert Fable Jr., made this declaration during a media interview at the Local Content Conference and Exhibition held in Accra.
A lot has happened. At present, job role localization, for example, we have done between 70 to 80% against the backdrop of what is in the law, that there should be an incremental replacement of qualified foreigners with equally qualified Ghanaians. And I must say that we are between 70 to 80%. We want to do even more, but we realize that there are also some structural challenges that we have. For example, our technical institutions need to introduce the right courses and certifications so that they will be acceptable by industry.
Well, that was CEO of the Petroleum Commission, Egbert Fable Jr., bringing an end to the business segment here on Hot Edition. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. My name is Michael Obudu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe. Up next, sports.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition with me, Oreku Ampofo. We start off with the Premier League, where Tottenham Hotspur head coach Ange Postecoglou says he's looking forward to the challenge of facing City rivals Fulham on Monday evening. Spurs, who are unbeaten in the Premier League so far, know that a win tonight will take them back to the summit of the table.
Particularly away from home, they're always a tough team to sort of overcome, and it'll be a real good challenge for us. But, you know, we've only had 3 home games so far this year out of the 8, and fair to say our home games have been fairly eventful. And a Monday night, I just think the atmosphere is going to be great. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good game, really exciting game, and, one that we're going to have to be at our best to overcome a top opponent.
Well, let's come back to Africa and focus on the inaugural edition of the African Football League, which kicked off this weekend in Tanzania. Let's go through results from the quarterfinals. As I stated earlier, it kicked off in Tanzania earlier this week as Simba held Al Ahly to a 2-2 draw at home, and that was a game that took place on Friday. And then Petro Atletico are home against Mamelodi Sundowns, losing 2-0 to their South African opponent. Enyimba were home in Nigeria, but lost to Wydad from Morocco by 1-0. And then Esperance Tunis were on the back of a defeat as they were beaten by TP Mazembe by 1-0. The second leg of the quarterfinal fixtures would be taking place on October 24 and 25. It's not a good time to hear from the Confederations of African Football head of TV and communications, Laksolo September, who says that this new competition created by CAF is supposed to bring in more excitement for football fans.
It's strength versus strength on any given day. It's excitement, it's freshness. It is a complementary product that is supercharging African football. And at first it might be misunderstood, but I think it's going to change the face of African football.
Well, in case you wanted to know more about the African Football League, the winner would be taking around $4 million. And 8 of the biggest clubs on the continent were selected. I just went through some of the results from the weekend, and the second leg would take place this week. That's October 24 and 25. But before we go, let's just quickly go through the Ghana Premier League fixtures because there was some Monday action that was played in the league with regards to the Ghana Premier League. Let me just quickly go through that for you. Now, with regards to the standings, let me actually go through the standings first. With regards to the standings, we know that Nswatriman are also up there trying to prove their best, and even though they have a game in hand, they are still top of the table with 10 points, and Samatex closely following with 10 points, Bofakotano also with 10, Real Tamale United with 10 points, and Nswatriman themselves still have a game to play. Heart of Oak in the bottom 3 alongside Accra Lions and then Mediama. But the game that took place today earlier was BBNE Gold Stars and Heart of Lions, which ended in a 2-2 draw. That's how I'll be wrapping up the sports segment here on Hot Edition. My name is Oreku Ampofo. Up next is entertainment with Akofa.
Thank you very much, Oreku, for the sports updates. You're still listening to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. It's now time for the entertainment news segment powered by 3 Entertainment. My name is Akofa. After weeks of competitive nationwide auditions, 16 finalists have been outdoored as contestants for this year's TV3 Mentor. Judges say Mentor Season 12 will go down memory lane as one of the best shows looking at the quality of talent selected.
The search for Ghana's next biggest music superstar is on. 16 musically gifted talents have been unveiled to symbolize the start of another exciting season of TV3's flagship reality show, Mentor 12. The next 13 weeks will see the poised talents treat Ghanaians to some exciting musical moments as they battle it out for the irresistible package at stake and bragging rights. The 2023 Mentor would have 3 judges, Kewa, Kwabena, and the boss of Links Entertainment, Richie Mensah.
Every contestant was made it to the next round. Listen, stay focused. Put in a lot of effort, and I believe that the sky will only be the beginning of greater heights to climb.
Being a musician is a serious job that you must take as serious as doing, brain surgery. If you can't take the job serious, then you stop. Our job is not to have fun. Our job is to make people have fun, which means you have to rehearse, you have to be ready, be disciplined, be on point, training like you mean it, okay? Don't believe the hype. The real world is tough. It's difficult. I hear so many musicians becoming depressed because they didn't expect it. They were outside looking in and thinking that they were just coming to grab a mic and sing and make money. But it's difficult. So if you know you don't have what it takes, you are not ready for that level of hard work, then you stop now so that those who are ready can continue. But if you know you are ready, chale, minamo.
Just like the judges, fans look forward to an exciting season.
Now, before I go, reggae dancehall giant Stonebwoy has been on the move all summer with his Fifth Dimension album world tour. Stonebwoy sold out the Docks Music Hall in Germany over the weekend and is expected to climax the tour in the UK in the coming weekend. Let's check out some highlights from the Germany event.
Stonebwoy has won the hearts of many music lovers worldwide with its artistry and energetic performances. The Fifth Dimension album world tour, which began on October 1st, has entertained many. Over the weekend, Stonebwoy touched base with the people of Hamburg in Germany. Final lap of the Fifth Dimension World Tour is in the United Kingdom, scheduled for October 26th to 29th.
And that's all the entertainment news here on Hot Edition, powered by 3 Entertainment. My name is Kofa. Thanks for your time. Join me at 8 p.m. as I come your way with Wind Down, and keep your dial locked on 3FM 92.7. The 3FM Drive continues.